Well, hi everyone, it's Pete here in the UK, and I'm back here with my good buddy Keith Meldrum over there in Canada. Keith,
Hello, Peter. How are you?
yeah, good man, grooving along. And as you know, myself and Keith, we started doing paint toolkit conversations soon after. Um, I think when we ran the first paint supported self management conferences 4, 5, 6, whatever, well, 4 or 5 years ago, or whatever it is. So,
Been a while, yeah.
yeah, so we've been carrying on doing them. Anyway, we're back here. This is 2026, and we've got some familiar faces and also people just joining us for the first time, I think. So, shall we just go quickly? Should we go round the cast? So, Keith, do you want to start off and introduce yourself?
Well, sure, yeah, Pete. It's good to see you again. It's great to see all of you. It's lovely to see you. I'm looking forward to today's talk. So, like Pete said, my name is Keith, and I'm in the western side of Canada in British Columbia, in Kelowna. I'm in the southern part of the province. So,
Okay, and you know me. If you don't know me, I'm not sure why you not don't know me, but I'm Pete Moore, and I'm in the UK, and I'm the author of the Paint Toolkit and self-management toolkits and all the other toolkits. Uh,
mhm,
some of the toolkits that me and myself and Keith have worked on as well.
mhm.
And who should we go for? Should we go ladies first? So, Bronnie.
Kia ora tātou. I'm Bronnie Thompson, author of Health Skills and down in New Zealand in Christchurch in what is supposed to be summer. Yeah, it's been mixed. Yeah, I'm an educator. I live with fibromyalgia, and pain is self-management is a really important thing. That's all I'll say.
Thanks, Bronnie. And Katie, do you want to start us off?
Okie doke. I'm Katie and I live quite near Pete actually in the UK. And I'm on here to find out more about what's going on out in the pain world because I'm quite new to all this. So that's me.
There you go.
Great to
Mel,
have you here.
there you go. That's good to have you. Dershnee.
Hello everyone, my name is Dershnee. I'm from South Africa. It is it is sunny here, but not as sunny as it should be. So we are still having some rain, but I think the weather's wrong all over the world. Yeah, and I enjoy working with people with pain and helping them. And my goal or my life purpose, actually, not just for this year, but for life in general, is just to help people with pain find a way back to themselves.
Okay. Mary.
Hi, Mary. I'm in South Australia, and I'm not in the area that's completely flooded out at the moment. Quite the opposite, actually. It is quite warm. We're coming into a very warm week, and I've been working in the pain area. I have pain, obviously, and I'm working in the pain area now for about 15 years. So,
Okay. Joe, do you want to introduce yourself, or do you want to just sit back and enjoy the ride?
I can introduce myself. I see lots of familiar names, so I think probably most
Yeah.
people know me. I'm Joe Belton. I'm in Colorado in the US. And speaking of weird weather around the world, we are having our worst snow record or snow season on record,
Oh.
which is really concerning because our snowpack is what feeds the Colorado River, which
Mhm.
provides water for 40 some million people in lots of states. So it's all very alarming. But
Oh boy.
that's me
Okay.
from the US.
Right. Jerry.
I benefit from that water. Just for the record.
Not
Um,
this year,
yeah,
Jerry.
right.
It's
Yeah,
not
right.
coming.
Well, and it's crazy flying over that river every year, right? Or that area, wherever it is, every year I'm watching just shrink down. My name's Jerry Durham. I'm a physio by training, but really the last 15 years or so working on what I call patient engagement, or what maybe everybody calls patient engagement. And being we are beginning 26, my goal, and I think where I'm recentering is the focus I look at is right person, right place, right time. And that means someone, by the way, of which I always remind everybody in healthcare, the right person in the right place in the right time could absolutely be not in healthcare. And that's our job, right? To keep people out of healthcare, I would argue, as much as possible. So that's my refocus in 26.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. And Jim, last but not least. Oh no,
No, and then
got
Tom.
Tom. Still got Tom. Yeah. Jim, do you want to let
Sure,
people know who you are?
sure. I'm Jim Stark. I'm a physical therapist in Southwest Michigan, about 1 mile from the shore of Lake Michigan. So I'm not too worried about water personally. Um, it's a pretty big body of water down here. Um, my goal for 26 is really to figure out if I'm going to keep working or retire completely, because it's getting to be the time where grandkids are really pulling on my time commitments, and I love it.
Okay.
But if I do that, then what I'll try to do is finish up the writing that I've been doing and try to work on finishing up a book that I've been working on for a couple of years. So
Okay.
it would be nice
So,
to be able to do that.
okay. Thanks, Jim. And last but not least, Tom.
Oh, thank you again for inviting me to this. I've been living with chronic pain since 2009. I've been able to turn my life around through pain rehabilitation and self-management. As a result of doing that, I've taken the next step, from being a pain patient to being a pain educator and advocate. And I provide education and support for people living with chronic pain.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks everyone. And um, Keith, I mean, it's we sort of do regular meetups, etc., and all that because we've got a conference coming up next month, or
Yeah.
next month,
Yeah.
and we sort of discussed frequently on what should we talk about these sort of conversations, and I think I've got a funny feeling about this year, you know, Keith. It's going to be a cracking year, you know, regarding supportive self-management. And I think it's sort of there's something that's been bubbling under the radar, but I've got a funny feeling it's going to be an awesome year. And I know what we've been working on the there's a I started didn't get fed up with it. Well, I suppose I did get a bit fed up with the pain world last year, and to some degree, I think seemed to be just going round in circles. But and I sort of moved. I sort of get my mojo back. I've sort of started up another kind of well. Keith, you're going to make. I'm going to make you laugh now, but we it hasn't gone live yet at the website.
Oh, what a surprise.
But I think I always say next week, but hopefully soon anyway. And
Yeah.
so sort of when I worked in the NHS to work with people with long-term conditions, well, so which included pain. Keith's going to be part of the new website called Self-Management Toolkit, very similar to the Pain Toolkit one. And but I just feel I want to reach out because supportive self-management is so important for you know you know if you're living with pain or a long-term condition, it's bloody miserable, like simple as that. And I think I just see as I'm sort of heading like you, Jim, heading towards I've gone past retirement age, and the actual fact it's way back there. But I just feel as I'm sort of heading down in a little bit of the sunset of my working life is to reach out and help and support not just people with pain and the healthcare professionals who support us, but also to reach out for people with long-term conditions. And when I worked in the NHS on something called the Expert Patients Program, I found it quite rewarding. Um, and I found prior to that, I'd just been working with people with back pain and stuff. But when I joined the NHS on this program and met other people with long-term conditions, it seems that the people that had back pain and all the problems they had, etc., but all people with long-term conditions, they had similar problems as well. So, it's not, it's pretty universal. So I know we're going to be having fun this year, Keith, won't we, with the website? We're going to be very proactive. We've got a conference, another conference in April coming up. So really, what my adventures for 26 is to uh, get the website up and running again, and get the website up and running, full stop. But also to be able to reach out there and support other people with persistent pain and also long-term conditions. So, Keith, what's your plans for what's your action plan for 26?
Well, very quickly, Pete. I really want to make it more about this group we got here today. So I'm just focused in on doing, working with you and many others here, for my small part, just to help raise the awareness of just long-term health conditions as well. Because it's healthcare is challenged for pain and other long-term health conditions, and now living with a condition that is probably as challenging, if not more so, than my pain. Anything we can do to raise that awareness. So my goal is, things like this today. We got a virtual room full of amazing people, experts, who are going to share the amazing things they're doing. And I just want to hear what all of you wonderful people have in store for 2026.
Katie, did I introduce you? I'm not sure if I introduced you, did I?
I introduced myself.
I introduced yourself. Okay, right. Sorry, apologies. Yeah. So thanks, Keith. So what I'd like to hear. So how are you going to make a difference in 26? So I'll be interested to find out. Well, we will be interested to find out what's going on. So who's to go next?
We could just pick it. There we go, Jim.
Jim's out. Go on.
As I'm struggling to think about whether I'm going to retire or not, I've gotten some new training. And so within the next month or so, I'll start treating male pelvic floor patients. So that's going to be an interesting challenge. Right now, most of my treatments are in a swimming pool. And that's a very interesting place to treat. And I like it in many ways, but it's also somewhat limiting. And so in order to get in the clinic a little bit more, I've added a new patient population. I'll drop one day in the pool. But the pelvic floor pain for men, not just pain, but also other dysfunctions, really the similarities in terms of the concepts are profound. And it's, there's some very specific details that are unique, but by and large, it's the same basic concepts of self-management, and it's just critical. So that population is a population that's getting to be quite well managed for women in our area. We have quite a few clinicians for women, but not that many for men. And so that's something that I've added recently.
Yeah,
that's excellent.
Nice one.
And if you run out of the pool, I mean, you got a big body of water called Lake Michigan. So, don't forget you got that just down the road. So
well, there is that. However, it's a little cold out there right now. So.
Just saying it's an option, Jim. Just saying it's an option.
It is. Cold therapy is probably not always the best, but sometimes it works really well. So.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah.
Who wants to go next?
I will. I had a I think I got a little burned out over last year and the year before, because my mojo just kind of vanished, not for what I care about, but the doing part, because this is hard work. And I keep hearing and reading the same stuff over and over and over, and 30 odd years of saying the same thing feels a little repetitive. And yet I was on Facebook this morning at a group, and and it's not a pain group, but somebody posted about they were going to a pain service, and they had this set of questionnaires that they said, why am I being asked these questionnaires? And somebody said, oh, it's like a vocab test. What it was one of those, the McGill, that asks you about the quality of your pain. And the outpouring of frustration and irritation and just general dissatisfaction and stories of not being listened to, and just made my heart break. So my decision over the Christmas period, sitting inside the camper with the rain pouring down, which was not ideal, was that, I think people have asked, why am I writing my blog still? Because blogging's passé. People don't read blogs. But I don't write it just for other people, actually. I write it for myself. It helps me think. It gets stuff out. And I still, I have this body of work that's been put out there since 2007, which is a pretty long time in social media public writing. There's over 2,000 posts in there. That's a body of thinking and messaging and kind of concepts that I think I don't know anywhere else exists. So that is a public thing. I don't know that it's wonderful, but it's there. It's somebody's perspective. So I've decided that I want to continue writing that, because my blog is really about, there is not a lot of point about putting, about telling people what to do, whether it's research or whatever, if people aren't, first of all, living their life, not somebody else's idea of what they ought to be living and how they ought to be living. And if it never gets out of a clinic, damn it, it needs to be an everyday life stuff. And that, to me, is some of the bits that are still missing. And judging from that Facebook group this morning, it is not happening in everyday life. So that is my thing again for this year. But I am going to, keep me honest, I'm going to work the hours that my university pays me, not every hour that God gives me. Yeah, right. Because this week alone, I have exceeded the number of hours that I'm paid to do. And I want to spend that more balanced time and, doing things that actually feed my soul. So the creative stuff, the fun things, because that's what life's about. And if we can bring that, infuse this whole idea of what is pain self-management anyway? Well, it's people living their life the best they can, living the best life. And like you pointed out, Pete, and Keith as well, people with pain don't just have pain. I don't know, when I was working at the pain service, people didn't come in with just the one thing. It is life stuff, and that is the big bit that we need to keep emphasizing. This is not about medical stuff. This is about us living really well within the constraints of being human and the social environment that we live in, and that health and life stuff happens. So it's on that passion I want to keep plodding away at, poking away, and asking those really awkward questions, the so what questions. Yeah, I'll stop now.
Don't stop writing. Your blog is important. It's really important.
Thank you.
I'll just editorialize just a little bit, Bronnie, while others are thinking of what they want to say is, recently, here we are decades into this, and same questions being asked. And somebody shared with me, somebody who is a provincial lead in one of our health services, she had 60 family physicians in a meeting, and they were talking about chronic pain. And to a physician, they were all like, what is chronic pain? What do I do with this when somebody comes into my office? This was in 2025, the end of 2025, or in 2025, and 60 family doctors, the cornerstone of medicine, saying, I don't know what chronic pain is.
Let alone what to do about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just tragic.
Yeah. Who's next? we're gonna pick somebody if you don't volunteer. So,
Right.
all right. Oh, I think Tom was in by a nose. You're muted, Tom.
Yep. That better?
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 2026 is going to be kind of interesting for me. I'm not sure quite actually what I'm going to be doing. I came off a big project in 2025 working with a group of healthcare professionals to improve uh, uh, post-surgical pain. So I worked with that group all last year, creating materials for that for a hospital group out of Iowa. So I did that last year. I kind of didn't focus as much on my other tools and resources that I share, like my support groups and my pain course and my website. So I'm looking this year to kind of improve those, redefine them, add to them. I started reaching out earlier. It was actually in 2025 to join other chronic pain groups and was becoming so frustrated with those groups and the complaining, the constant pain talk, I was continually shut down. In fact, I was posts were removed about pain rehabilitation and self-management. It's things that they just do not want to hear in many communities. So, and they want to just focus on the opioids or whatever treatment is working for them or they think will work for them. So sometimes I feel like I'm spitting in the wind a lot to fill Lake Michigan. Or any other body of water like the Colorado River. So it's spitting in the wind, but I'm just going to keep spitting because I figure if I keep spitting, someone's going to get wet. Somewhere, someone's going to get wet. And whether that's one person, it doesn't have to be thousands of people. I just need to change one person's life. And I have reached out. I'm actually going through some physical therapy myself, made a great connection with a physical therapist who has a similar viewpoint on pain, took education from Adrian Lau. So we both been connecting on pain when I go for my physical therapy. And we're trying to figure out how I can do a program on chronic pain within his clinic. So yeah, got some things to work on, just trying to keep spitting.
It'll land. Mary.
I'm going to be running some workshops for medical students this year. Very exciting. Hopefully there'll be a bunch of medical students. We want to make it good. I've been assigned. I said I need a psychologist, and she suggested also a physiotherapist because obviously there'll be some clinical questions that I might be able to answer but shouldn't answer. And the whole idea is that it's from the consumer, the patient perspective. And that's the way it'll start. I've done this with physiotherapy students, so we sort of know what we're doing. We're having a meeting to sort of get it all together. But it started out with me being asked to do a 6-minute video for physio medical students. And I said, look, I don't think that'll work. I think it'll go straight in one ear and out the other, or otherwise they won't listen at all. And so I told this doctor what I'd been doing with the physiotherapy students, and she thought that was fantastic. So we've gone from there. Next minute, it drops in my email, 8 rotations for the year. So I'm thinking, wow. Wow. So I'm hoping that this bunch will come out and they'll actually know what chronic pain is by the time they've finished. Even if it is only 1, 2 or 3 hour workshop, we'd like to keep our fingers crossed that there'll be something there, because it must be hard for them when people like, me present in there and they think, well, what am I going to do? What is chronic pain? So, yeah, and I'm hoping that that's all going to come and fall into place. And we want to make it good so that it continues on. Like I want it to continue on long after I can't do it. So,
Good stuff.
Exciting.
I've just popped my hand up because
I've just said that, Bonnie. Yeah.
yeah, we've got So I've been teaching fifth year medical students for the last 20 years,
Okay.
long
Oh,
time.
really?
But over the last, I have a whole 2 hours with them, plus some additional, they have some additional learning. And the assessment for them is to actually talk to somebody about their pain and find some stuff out, like what do they understand about their pain, and what are the problems that they're having with their pain, and what do they want to be able to do if their pain's less problematic for them, which has been great. So my move this year, Mary, is to, I'm not teaching it anymore, but Rachel Arkit, who's my massage therapy master's student, who's just passed her master's, will be taking those sessions, and we've been giving people an experience of pain. We've been given these students an experience so they can understand that you get the same stimulation, but you have this hugely diverse range of experiences, and what's that all about? So they can have a chat, because they get very little training. We know that. And then it's seen as, well, you did it in your first year, so it can't be that important.
Right.
And so the longer they can have with people, and particularly people who live with pain, so they actually hear what it's like, the more. I'm so happy. I'm so I couldn't resist. Had to say something.
I also like to bring in the language thing, because I think that language is something that scares. I think we're using a lot of ancient language, the old bulging disc. There's a whole string of these things, and it frightens the hell out of people. And I think that if people can if they can rephrase things, for a start, you haven't got a petrified patient in front of you. I think and I sort of work that into it too. So hopefully, fingers crossed. I realise it's only one workshop, but
that is critical for these students who otherwise won't get very much at all, or they get a very well, if you've got a problem after we've done our surgery, then obviously it's something wrong with you, not with the fact that I shouldn't have done surgery in the first. Oh, stop! I'll get off that soapbox. Yes, Pete, you've got it. Yeah,
that's another great example, Mary, of Tom feels like he's spinning in the wind. You can't ever underestimate, how do you change the world? Sometimes it's just one small corner at a time, right?
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Yeah. So we've got Jerry, Dershnee, Katy, anyone? Joe? Katy.
I'll do
All
it.
right.
How are you going to change the world, Katy?
Do you know what? I'd like to mix it up a little bit. I think I'd like to find a way to get clinicians to get the information out to the people that need it, in not the way that they're doing it now, because I don't think it's really working at all. And make it really simple, make it maybe a little bit of fun. I don't know if you've seen my stick characters, but I just think I'd really like to mix it up a bit, and probably make myself quite unpopular in the process, but I don't really mind.
I think that's great. I love that idea. And you know what? Not to be facetious or sort of a little down, but this is hard work. I mean, whether you're a clinician, a person living with pain, or both, just general advocacy is hard work. And Katy, sometimes we're not really seen as the most positive or in a favorable light, but like we're not here to make people mad, but we're here to tell the truth and to help change things. So, and sometimes that ruffles people's feathers a little bit. So
there's so much good information out there. It's just not being delivered in a very good way most of the time. And I think that's a shame. There's a lot of people doing a lot of good work, and it's just not reaching the people that really need to see it. So that's what I'd like to change this year.
yeah, well, you've got an amazing gift and a talent to share with the world. So that's awesome.
And also not make it too serious.
Yeah,
it's a serious subject, but it doesn't need to be so serious.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dershnee.
Hi, I thought I don't know how to say I want to go next, so it's my
Yeah,
hand.
no, that works perfect.
So I'm doing quite a few exciting things this year. It's going to be a great year. Last year wasn't such a great year for me, but I think this year is going to be a great year for me and for people in pain in my country, hopefully. Um, One of my big things that I'm doing, so access to healthcare is a big problem in our country, and I think it's a problem globally also. Um, so most people in pain can't afford the healthcare. Um, they end up just paying for medication because they think that's the most important thing that they have to pay for, and doctors' consults, and then nothing else. So they don't often get the rehabilitation even that they need. So I'm an occupational therapist, by the way, like Bronnie. Yay. Um, and so I have actually partnered with an organization that Pete knows. It's Live Well with Pain from the UK, because they do something called pain cafes, and we had our first one in November, and was really great. There were 10 people who live with persistent pain that came, and we kind of introduced the concept. So basically what happens is we'll have 10 pain cafes this year. And each time that people come to a pain cafe, it'll be once a month, where you will give them free, it's kind of a free session of teaching them a self-management skill or tool to help them in their journey of recovery. And I will do that with a person who has a living, I've learned this from Pete, a living experience of pain, not a lived experience of pain. So it will be me partnering with somebody with a living experience of pain to teach them some supported, self-care skills to help them manage their pain better for free. So it's a big deal that it has to be for free. We started with 10 people. I'm hoping that the number will grow. The place that I'm doing it is available for bigger numbers, but I don't know what we're going to get. But 10 people for me is already a lot of people that I can, just help on that level. And then the other thing that I've done is, so I've been teaching healthcare providers and clinicians about pain for a long time. And this year, what I'm doing is I'm taking courses to the more rural areas in South Africa so usually they have to travel into the urban areas to attend a course, or they have to do it online. And my feeling last year was that people are over online. We're all done with the COVID pandemic thing. Nobody really wants to do it anymore, and people want to be in person. So I'm doing in-person courses, but in more rural areas, because usually those people have to travel to the urban areas, pay for transport, pay for accommodation to attend a course. So then generally it's harder for them. So I'm taking kind of the courses to them. So we'll see whether the model works. I don't know, because I have to be able to afford to do it, unfortunately. So let's hope that it does. And then in addition to that, I did something really exciting with the University of Hawaii last year, which Pete was involved, and Joe, who's on, was involved as well, and Virginia McIntyre, where we have developed a pain coach module that has been informed by people who are living with the experience of pain, of what they feel healthcare providers should learn about pain. So I'm busy just putting the last finishing formatting touches on that. That I think is going to be a hybrid course. I will offer it in person in South Africa, but I think it will have to be something that we will offer probably online as well to people who want to learn more or know more. It was interesting. The biggest difference between what I currently teach and what, how that module is different is there's a huge module not a huge module. There's a part of the course that's actually all about bias and stigma and discrimination for people with pain, which I think is quite important that we get that out.
Thanks, Dershnee. Jerry, where are you? I want you what's going on over there with you guys? With your work? So I'm
Well,
always in awe of your work, man.
well, I appreciate that, Pete, and I love seeing you over on LinkedIn because I believe what you're sharing there. So I like to wait. I honestly, I don't sit here to be last, so I can be the last one talking. I like to hear what everybody else shares, and typically, 'cause I like to just think I'm trying to be a cog in the wheel here. And I love to see what you're sharing, Pete, because I love sharing your information with other people. And if we're going to take this approach that I believe is a solution to a problem of going further up and upstream or further to the left, we could call it, and getting to someone earlier in their journey. And I don't mean before they have pain, it could be anybody on this call, right? It could be anybody in their journey, but I want them to get to the right person on the phone, online, or whatever that will then direct them to the right place. And I think you all have heard this theme over and over from me after 34 years. I don't trust the system. I don't believe the system is going to drive the change. And the way to impact the system, in my opinion, is not be the provider that I was trained to be. It's to work on the front end and get as close to that edge as possible. And so, and so if someone calls, right person, right place, right time means that someone could be directed straight to Pete, straight to something Tom's doing, right? Straight to some of the other things I heard here. And there's going to be value in this whole thing by having these different options. The other thing I'm doing a lot of reading or research on is the care. We call them care navigators here in the States. They're not typically medically trained. And I liken it to a Sherpa, right? They come alongside you in your journey, right? And that's what a Sherpa does. And so the care navigator with more information, with more resources like a self-management, and different ways back to the access point is going to be really important in this discussion. How do we get to people? How do we get to more people? Not the same people. So these are the things, and I think we don't have to go down this rabbit hole today, but with the advent, and Pete, you see me sharing these things with the advent and the technology that's around. I know there's a lot we have to be careful of on the bad side, but I don't want to squash all of it because I think there's a huge upside on the access side. And I think there's a huge upside to help guide this journey for people so they can get to the right person earlier in their journey. So that's all my thoughts about 26, and it kind of encompasses honestly what everybody's sharing, right? We got to educate the providers. I get it. We got to go inside. I just think we gotta because we were talking about like getting information out, right? I don't trust the system to get the information out, right? It's been 34 years for me. So it is what it is. And rather than just sit here and bitch about it, right? How can contribute? How can I continue to do what I do to make sure that Tom's calling for physical therapy gets, maybe Tom doesn't need physical therapy, right? I always love standing in front of people, right? The second, because in the current system in America, the second I put Tom in the schedule, and Tom, I'm sorry, I just taken your story that you use. Let's say a Tom. The second I put him on the schedule and put him, so literally you realize that is the power of the person answering the phone. I am now going to possibly take Tom, who's not in the system, and put him in the system. There is not any research in America that says once you put people in the system, things get better. So, I mean, there's a lot of power on this. How do we leverage outside of the provider space? So I'll leave it at that. And you can see this is what excites me right now, because I think there is a greater opportunity than there ever has been to do this kind of work.
Yeah, good stuff, Tom. Oh, sorry, Jerry. Yeah, I think it's for me, it's the frustrating bit really with I think sometimes those decision makers, like the commissioners, they're here. We've got, they call them the commissioners, where they commissioning work and etc. Part of the provider service and whatnot. I don't think they're skilled up enough or informed enough about the importance of supportive self-management. I think they play it safe and stick with the medical model. You know what they perhaps what they've been taught or used to, etc. And sometimes I often think, we're on our own really because they just don't get it, and that is one of the I think I'd look at back end of last year. I'd looked a lot of emails I got from people that had contacted the Pain Toolkit, and a lot of it was this frustration really about getting to the right, as you say, Jerry, getting to the right people. The frustrations of it all. Some people were talking about I know it's one of the popular inquiries was how can I sue my provider? Because they're so naffed off with it all, because it's just being messed around with, and it's bad enough having to live with a pain or a long-term condition, that's grabbing your attention all the time, and then the system that's supposed to be there to help and support you, it's not functioning, and
Yeah,
it's a bloody nonsense,
yeah, real quick, I want to jump on something else you said, Pete, because I think it's important in this conversation. So let's say you do call, and I'm going to say this Tom person calls, and we do have a solution for Tom, and it's 2 months down the road. Is it a solution? So so having options, again, we're back to what I call access, right? I bundle this under access. So if I know I have the solution for Tom and I have to be able to, right, and there's an access issue, then we got to have other avenues. And these things are opening up too. So it's not just saying, yes, we do have the solution, the right solution for you, but it's 2 months out because we all know 2 months things aren't going to be better. Probably going to be worse for a lot of things. So, right. So that's part of it too. And that's where that access rolls in. So all this stuff has to weave together and we can't look at one thing without the other. We got to look at all these things together.
Yeah. Joe, I know you've had a hell of a year last year, and you got any thoughts on what you plan for doing for 2026 yet?
Yeah, I do. Bronnie, I'm trying to figure out how to upload a file, but Ben Darlow and I just published a viewpoint in JOSPT. That's
Yes.
yeah.
Brilliant
So,
piece. Thank you so
Yes.
much. And stuff
thank
that I've
you.
been writing about for forever.
Mhm.
And you got it into print, which is just so good. Well
Yeah,
done.
I'm really grateful to Claire Arden for supporting us because it's a viewpoint and
Yeah.
Mhm.
we are expressing a controversial view. I saw Mark Cargella posted it on LinkedIn and I couldn't even respond to the comments because like one woman was like, what we really need to be asking is if patients trust clinicians. I'm like, literally, that's the only question that's ever asked when it comes to trust in the clinical encounter.
Oh,
There is research on that. Like there is tons of
boy.
research on that. Like nobody
Yeah.
ever asks if clinicians trust patients.
Oh
Yeah,
boy.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
so and Ben and I have hopes of expanding on that viewpoint too and doing more pieces, a series of pieces, which Claire is on board for. But we're going to be doing a podcast with Claire episode that I will share with Pete and Keith and they can distribute too once that's out into the world. But in like that, the trust stuff has been really important to me. Um, my computer is so weird today.
I think you
Yes.
got her, Jerry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is,
Yeah.
Jerry.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Um,
I just want to make
Yeah.
sure it looks pretty darn new. So just want to.
um,
It's
because
really, really good.
I
It's
think
good.
that this trust issue is really important, and I think it's going to become even more important in the U.S. in particular, but not just the U.S. globally, because there's so much mistrust going on everywhere. And like Jerry said, the system is not going to fix things. If anything, I think the system's going to continue to make things worse for people. So figuring out what to do outside of the system, I think is where I'm going to be focusing my energies now, because I'm pretty disillusioned, to be honest, with academia and with fighting the same battles over and over again, and it's just exhausting. And like my last year was pretty rough, and having, breast cancer and going through treatment, and then my dog dying like it was a bad country song. It was just a lot. And then
Yeah.
being reminded of how fucked up, pardon my language, how fucked up, as I say it again, the US healthcare system is. Like just things like I was diagnosed with cancer in 2024. I had an oncologist that I saw for all of my care, my 2 surgeries, my month of radiation. Then when I see him for a follow-up in February, the claim is denied because I didn't have a referral, even though he was the oncologist that I saw for all of my cancer treatment the year before. And in my policy, like, says you don't need a referral to see a specialist, like that kind of stuff. Like, patients in the US are under so much additional load just from navigating the health insurance system that it's like almost impossible to get better within it. So how do we support people through that process, but also from outside the system? Because it's incredibly stressful. So then I have to appeal all of these denied claims early in the year while I'm also still navigating fucking cancer. So like all of that stuff is just additional load on patients. And then patients are being asked to advocate for themselves when they're least able to do so, physically, emotionally, cognitively, all of those things. And it was just a reminder, like I had all those negative experiences in the workers' compensation system that led to my advocacy work in the first place. And then like the cancer system was much different in terms of the clinicians and the system that you're within. Everybody's very caring and compassionate, wonderful providers, wonderful, front of office staff. But when you're under that load from health insurance, when you have like $100,000 bill hanging over your head that the hospital keeps reminding you that you might be responsible for if the insurance denies that claim, like that is so freaking stressful. Like, and it's not just, hundreds of dollars when patients are going through that stuff. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do about all of that stuff, but like with Bronnie, writing has always been my way of making sense of things. And so I want to commit to, even if I'm just writing for myself, just to take this year to write more seriously. So I have my 1,000 words book that I'm going to be using as my guide to, write 1,000 words most days. And then for those of you who've known me for a while, you will appreciate this. Back in 2014, I wrote the first draft of my book. So that's 12 years ago now. I went through it again in 2018. That's where all the tabs and all the handwriting is from. And then I never touched it again. So part of my goal for 2026 is to go through this and see if there's even anything worth keeping. I'm also really interested in going through it because I was still in a lot more pain when I wrote this than I am now. And I didn't have the tools that I have now. So I'm curious to see what the hell I wrote 12 years ago. And if anything comes of it. But so that's where my headspace is. I don't know exactly where it's gonna go. I've kind of committed to GAPA again. Now that things seem to be back on track and we're actually going to be doing some stuff. There's Katie, once it comes out officially, I'll make sure that you get it. But the September issue of Pain, which is the journal that IASP puts out, is going to have artwork on the cover from a person with lived experience of pain. So there's going to be a whole submittal process for that. And just in our last meeting, there's just talk of more integration of GAPA within the work of IASP. And then also how we're going to just structurally move forward with elections and that kind of stuff so we can have new people in leadership and new people taking the reins, because I'm pretty sure most of us that have been in GAPA since the start are exhausted. But I'm committed just as past chair. And just the fact that I took a year off and went back to it, should give us all hope that it's actually going to go somewhere, because I would not be going back if I thought it was going to be another shit show. And if anyone is not currently a member of GAPA and you do live with pain and are interested, it's the Global Alliance of Partners for Pain Advocacy, which is through the International Association for the Study of Pain. Membership is free for people with lived experience of pain. So going to be doing that stuff, writing and trying to figure out how to disrupt from the outside, because it's not just broken for patients. Like when patients are under that much stress and strain, then they're bringing that into the clinical encounter too. And then, the health professionals themselves are under so much stress for quantity over quality. And there's just so much that's wrong with the system. On the other hand, so like I had just a really bad, like 16 months. So I had cancer, went through all my treatment. My dog died, was doing well. Then I fell while walking and broke my hand. So then I was back in the healthcare system again. So, and I was just walking. But the one positive of that, so I've had 10 surgeries in my life. When I broke my hand was the first time I've ever been referred to occupational therapy. First time ever. Of all of the injuries and surgeries that I have had. I mean, I've had way more injuries than I've had surgeries. It was the first time I ever went to occupational therapy, and it was wonderful. Love occupational therapists. One of the things that I noted too was like just the way that questions were asked are different. Not like, can you do the things that you want to do, but can you do the things you want to do in the way you want to do them? And that distinction was so different and such a different approach to care that I really appreciated. Anyway, I just went off on a bunch of tangents, but y'all that know me, that's how I operate. So
No, not you, Cheryl. That was awesome.
I just love that you noted that difference in the question, because it is the how do you want to live your life that is just dropped out of so much of our clinical the medical model doesn't ask that question. It says we can fix you so you can go back to your life, but we often don't get fixed. And the process of getting back to your own life we can't just sit there and do it. We often need someone to give us a hand to help us make that journey. But if you're having to do a whole bunch of stuff that is irrelevant to your life because somebody else thought it was a jolly good thing, like the exercise form that you do or your movement practice, then you're not going to do it. And then guess who gets the blame? It's the person with pain, not the clinician thinking maybe I should have thought differently. Sorry, I get very worked up about this because there's this whole idea that clinicians know best about my life, not theirs. Breathe, Bronnie, breathe.
I have an amazing ability to state the obvious. If you ask my mother, she told me I grasped that when I was young. But so what I just heard here from this small group, there's a lot that's happening. It's amazing. Different things, but a lot going on. I truly believe that change does sometimes happen sort of one step at a time. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. You get enough steps going, you get your journey completed. But fundamentally, what I hear from everybody, what you're doing, Joe and Jerry, I think you wrapped it up quite beautifully. The system is the problem. We see, I know I personally put time and energy in trying to change the system. It is a massive system that I don't know if it can be changed or it's not until it's willing to. So the idea of working from the outside in, which is everything that you talked about, Dershnee talking about taking care out to the rural community instead of like, well, the model is you come to us. And Jerry's, right patient, right time, all of that. Everything that I heard people talk about today is working outside of the system because it's not working. And until fundamentally they look themselves in the face and say, and my big soapbox now is if you need to look at it as a business, it's not working because your investment of your money isn't paying you dividends. If you invest it wisely, you will get 3 to 5 times the return on your investment. Governments and bureaucracies can't think that way. They choose not to. So they keep doing the same thing over and over again and wasting hundreds of millions, if not trillions of dollars. So everybody, what you're doing, keep it up. No deed is too small, but it's tiring. It's tiring.
hence
And
the
yet I feel energized when we get together. So there is something about hearing and listening and working with and talking to and getting excited when we're together. And that's how systems change occurs, when there's enough of us connecting and saying it can be different. And our collective energy is a big part of that. It's what keeps us going and creates that momentum. I'm reading this book on systems theory at the moment, and I've read a book on context, and context makes everything. Context is what matters, actually. And maybe although that's complicated sort of academic crap, in the end, it boils down to that when we together come together from all of the different parts of the system that we're inside, and we exert those little pieces of influence that we do collectively, that transforms the system. Not one bit, not one, some revolution. It's this real emergent kind of thing, a bit like pain is. Pain's not just the one thing, it's a whole bunch of things that are in a system. And to change and transform the experience, we can't just do the one thing. And it's the same with this health system and how we help people with pain live their own life. I think, it's a zeitgeist, and it's also that paradigm shift, to use kind of jargon. Yeah, we're getting there, I think.
I think I'm going to bring it. I think I need to bring things to a close soon. But what I just want to sort of make a comment, because the conference that we're running next month, Keith, isn't it? The theme is going upstream.
Yeah.
If people are familiar with the upstream, downstream, and it's like a parable, really, why people keep falling in the river, because the upstream, the fence is broken, and that's where our frustrations lie, because these dudes like up in provider land, commissioner land, or whatever you want to call them. There's something wrong there, and but us lot, we're having to pull people out of the river all the time, and that's the theme of the conference next month. But Jim's going to be one of the speakers there, presenters. So it's all about looking at ways. So I think there's going to be an interesting conference, because we'll have 6 presenters who will be sort of sharing it, come up some ideas about how do we get upstream, how do we get these dudes up there stream to start making a difference, really, can we fix the fence, sort of thing, perhaps perhaps, I don't know, it may not be fixable, I don't know, but we need some ideas. But it's about, I always feel, I keep saying to myself, sometimes I think we are on our own, sort of thing, because I think we've got to keep plugging away. But I know it's with my healthcare, etc. I feel that well, it is with supportive self-management. It's getting some information from the healthcare provider or whatever. But really, I've got to do the work, sort of thing, and but it's got to be an easier way. I mean, it's so bonkers, and listening to what Joe was saying about the cost of, healthcare, etc. When you hear see Joe say, you got to live with a long-term condition, and then you've got $100,000 bill hanging over your head, and you're thinking, crap, what I was sitting here thinking, how would I deal with that, So anyway, so there's got to be a simpler way, and I think we're all plugging away at it. But I'm also thinking, how do we harness all this stuff that we're doing? Because I think we're all doing bits and bobs, but how do we? Is there a way that all this information, how do we harness it? So I mean, I always said, if when I win the Euro Millions, I'm gonna start up a university, supportive self-management university, where all this stuff is under one roof, So, and then they'll be sort of disseminate it around the world and whatnot. That's my wish list anyway.
Keep
Okay,
buying the
good.
lotto tickets. Keep buying the lotto tickets.
Yeah. That's how perhaps what you need to do, buy a lottery ticket, and
Mm.
then we ain't got to worry about the bloody providers, then, have we? But so anyway, there's an answer out there somewhere along the line, but I appreciate everybody, all the healthcare. I mean, it's a tough gig being a healthcare provider. Would I want to be a doctor? Not really. But I do appreciate all what you do, or what you guys do, And I don't know about you, Keith, but I always come away from these conversations with a lot of wind in my sails, where it gets a bit depleted. Like Tom was saying about spinning the wheels, like it does. It feels like you're spinning the wheels. But I always come away from these, I feel a lot more motivated, etc. Do you want to close us up, Keith, for the evening? What do you
Oh, wow. Well, so first of all, thanks everybody. It was amazing. Tom, keep spitting in the wind, buddy. It's happening. Katie, get out there and find a way to help them get from the healthcare side to deliver information in a better way, make it fun. And if you ruffle some feathers, ruffle away. Mary, teach the hell out of those university students. That's awesome. Dershnee, I think it's so cool what you're doing, flipping the models around, bringing it to the people. Jim, you found a whole new area, not whole new, but an underserved area of the population of people who need help with pain. It's incredible. Bronnie, don't stop writing. Your blog is important and only work the hours that you're paid for. Jerry, I'm a big fan of you, and you don't even pay me to say that. Right person, right time. I love it. And Joe, keep disrupting and do it from the outside because from the inside isn't working, sister. And it's challenging, but fundamentally, I think the answer is pretty simple. And if we can get the system to understand that you're dealing with people.
Don't forget Jerry.
Jerry, I did it. I said Jerry.
Oh, yeah, oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
you betcha, brother. But if we can get a healthcare system to understand that they're treating people, treat the people first and foremost, and everything falls out after that. But until then, this virtual room and all the people who are going to listen, keep doing exactly what you're doing because it all helps. Okay, if we're not doing it isn't an option. So that's just where we're at, folks.
I think we've got one booked for next month, actually. So I think it's just before the conference. So if you're available, it'd be great to get you back on board again. And we'll see you next month, hopefully. So I'll be sending the Zoom link out in the next few days. So take care, everyone. Look after one another. Look after yourselves. We can't,
right.
First thing is support yourself management, looking after yourself.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. It's great to have you.
Very
Good.
much.
Yeah, ciao.
Bye.
Good to see you, everyone.
Bye,
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.